Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to another episode of Let's Fly. This is the second part and final part of our flight from Manitoulin East Municipal Airport to Wawa Airport. We've got 2 passengers in our plane, although you can't see them, as part of our FSEconomy simulated run over here. We are still running with time compression. We're a little more than halfway through the flight overall. I did decide to go ahead and climb to 10,000 feet. 10,005 over here, just to dodge more clouds, and actually our fuel efficiency now got a little bit better. Actually, some of the EGT dropped. Can I lean this out? No, I cannot lean it out anymore. So let's not do that. That should bounce back in a second. All right, so that's going to be okay. Our ground speed is currently about 123. Whoa! Did that start like... This was not the case 2 seconds ago, right before I started recording. I was going to say, you could see that Elliott Lake is behind us because this arrow is pointing backwards, but we just fell out of range of this beacon here. Going sideways like that means no signal whatsoever, although it's not terribly clear. For all I know, Elliott Lake somehow got over there, but it didn't. We're still following our heading over here. We have not picked up the radio yet by Wawa. Let's go ahead and verify that we still know what the heck we're talking about here. So this is our flight. We took off over here from Manitoulin East. We flew over Elliott Lake. That's what I said. We just lost this beacon here is the thing we were tracking on our ADF. So we just fell out of range of that. We're somewhere over here, and we're looking to pick up the Wawa VOR 112.7, and that is indeed what we have ourselves tuned over here, 112.7 in VLOC 1 here, and it is non-existent, but we will be picking it up at some point in the probably not too distant future. Now, one of the things we can do, actually, to I know that probably just blanked things out, my bad for that, is actually get a hint as to what's going on by throwing in our GPS over here. If we go, we are going, where are we going? What's the airplane code, or airport code that we're going to for Wawa? Does anyone remember? So, Charlie Yankee X-Ray Zulu. Really? CYXZ. Really? Alright. So if we go back into X-Plane, and we say we want to direct to... No, not this. There we go. No, go back. And... the other way. Oh, I think I moved my mouse slightly. There we go. Charlie X-ray. I guess going backwards is probably faster. Well, not much because it's got the numbers, I guess. Yankee Zulu. Are you kidding me? It reset because I hit the middle button instead of enter? You bastard. I wish I could just type this in. Can I get like a list of nearby airports? I'm sure that would be a thing. Maybe in the menu? Charlie. Hang on, did I do it? Am I remembering it wrong? It's CY, Charlie Yankee. That's why I couldn't find it. Charlie Yankee. X-ray. I should be scrolling instead because, well, first of all, it might be a little faster, but also it makes it less likely that I will accidentally push the button by clicking in the wrong place. There we go. Enter. Activate. Enter. So now we get this purple line, which shows us exactly where we're going. We also get an estimated time of E? Not arrival. What does ETE stand for? Estimated time of... no idea. Of course, we are running with time compression, so we're not actually going to take that long. It's going to take about half that long, and very soon we're going to have to start doing some things. We're about 54 nautical miles away from the actual Wawa Airport. Now, it is worth noting that the VOR that we're waiting to pick up over here is not actually at the airport. The antenna for it is a couple miles off or something. I can actually check the specificals. Over here, actually, SkyVector's got it nicely for us. If we go and open up the page for Wawa, this is the beacon that we are tuned in. It is 1.8 nautical miles away. And this is, the airport is on this radio from that. So the airport is 62 degrees and 1.8 nautical miles away from the beacon. So the actual airport is northeast of the beacon. But if we fly towards the beacon, we should be able to spot the airport, especially knowing, sort of generally speaking, where it is next to one another. And since there's no ILS or anything like that, I mean, we're not going to get anything closer or more accurate. I don't think there is. I don't see anything at a glance. But yeah, it lists everything that's like the closest that you can possibly go, and you can use the relative coordinates over here to gauge if you're going in the right direction in any way. So anyway, we should be fine. We're just waiting to pick. Oh, hey, look at that! Man, every time I tab out, stuff happens. We have deflection on our needle over here. So this is the line that represents the actual radio we've got this dialed to. I mean, I could flick this here. So now this is the radio we're actually on, whatever that is. This line technically is the correct radio for that sort of skyway kind of thing, and we might want to intercept that. You know what? Just for goodness and light and whatever, we're gonna go ahead and do that. Let me go. I'll do this manually. What the heck? We're gonna turn off the heading mode over here. We're just gonna go ahead and bank over so that we're going sideways. We'll go slightly more north than we were. There we go. Good enough. We'll pull back to level. What are you doing? Oh, I think when the autopilot's engaged, I think the wing leveler is automatically on. So it was pushing back. You see, we're traveling north, and now we're going to intersect that line. And one of the things I can do is I can throw the autopilot on nav mode, and what it will do is it will automatically, you can see it turning. So we're just intercepting the radial now, and it's going to automatically keep us on that radial as opposed to any specific heading. Now, I didn't have to be on the radial, but again, if we take a look at the map, which browser page am I looking at here? I've got 30,000 different ones. Yes, this one here. There's this sort of world low. There we go. This sort of cruising flight highway in the sky. I don't know my words. Then that we're like, we may as well follow this. In a sense, I'm like sort of blending all the VFR versus IFR kind of stuff. Because you know what? It's the wild up here. No one gives a crap when I fly. So we'll see. Cruising altitudes. But again, I think you can, if we were full IFR with like ATC support, things like that, we'd probably be given specific altitudes to fly at. But I'll just follow this as a matter of, I don't know, some sort of form or something like that. We'll go along there, and you see it like will lead us here. But again, the airport is just northeast of that in the end. So, one nice thing, when we do have our signal on this VOR, this one here includes distance information. Not all of them do, but it does, and sometimes you get it on a little like analog sort of like set of dials or something. In our case, it's part of the GPS over here. Now, this distance is the distance to the GPS waypoint. This is the true distance to the airport, for example. But again, we may not know that, but this is the distance to the VOR. Yankee X-Ray Zulu, right, is the VOR aimed the same as the airport, for example. This is the radial that we're currently on. And this is independent of whatever we've got this tuned to, right? If I change this, yeah. This just tells us what radial we're currently on. And if we happen to be going in the same direction, although in the reciprocal, because we're heading to as opposed to away, so we're 180 degrees off of this. But if we're heading to this plus 180 degrees, which is the 323, which is presumably what our actual heading is, or, you know, whatever. Your mileage may vary, and that's the distance to it. So we get this kind of information even if we don't actually have GPS. And again, we could just like tape over this thing on this side over here and just use this for the radios, and we've got that. So we're closing in rapidly. Again, we're operating at greater than 2 times real speed, almost. Actually, sometimes it's going 3 times speed, depending on where my camera is because of rendering time. So we're accelerating a wee bit. So we'll keep this short. We're technically, if we were flying directly there in real time, we'd be 14 minutes away. So probably in 7 minutes, call it 8 or 9, because we're going to have to to putter around a little bit, we'll be there. Still, if we're at 10,000 feet... Oh, we should check the elevation of the airport here. The elevation of the airport is 944 feet. So, we are about 9,000 feet above the airport. We're going to get in that area. We could fly directly. We'd be there in 13 minutes. And obviously, at that time, we're going to want to be on the ground. So it's probably a good idea to start descending at this point. So let me go ahead. We're going to cancel the time compression. We are going to release the autopilot completely at this point. So there we go. Turned off. So, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up the throttle. In fact, I could probably pull us all the way to idle. Now, the trick will be, if I pull all the way to idle, I would like to descend in such a way that my airspeed stays constant, or definitely don't overspeed. Now, yeah, that's probably going to descend us faster than we strictly need to. There's really no reason for me to descend faster than 1,000 feet per minute, because we've got plenty of time before we arrive there. And, you know, I might want to stay at a higher altitude longer. So let me go ahead and pull up a little bit. Just a little bit less forward pressure. I will then apply a little bit of trim to try to keep it at this kind of angle. I'm going to give us a little bit more gas here, because I want to keep our ground speed, our total airspeed, relatively similar. We're climbing a little too fast, but we're also, our speed's climbing too fast. We're actually sinking a little too quickly. Of course, I could just do this with autopilot, but let's see if I can actually not F this up too much. Try to balance out. I mean, if I was just trying to descend as fast as possible, that would be okay. I could just go fully to idle and then, you know, make sure that that our speed stays reasonable by pitching up and down a little bit. But I'm trying to balance it out with our horizontal speed at the same time. We're still more or less on the radial. It's a little bit to the left of us, so I'll just bank over a wee bit and do that. And again, as the speed increases, we start to climb, which means then our speed drops, so there's going to be this natural oscillation. I've got my hands off the controls completely over here. And yeah, a descent somewhere between 500 and 1,000 feet per minute is fine. This speed looking fine. As we descend, we will want to enrich our mixture. We did get it fairly lean when we were pretty high up here. Right now, the fuel flow is going to be basically nothing as a result of the fact that there's, you know, not really any throttle. We are drifting. Interesting. It's one to pull over to the right. There might be a little bit of a breeze is all. We are going to be descending through the clouds. Keep an eye on our instruments here. 31 degrees Fahrenheit outside. I don't know if there's like a way to change everything to metric, at least for the temperature. But if I recall correctly, that's about freezing, right? Because the rule of thumb that Canadians use to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit is you double the Celsius and add 30. So if you go the other way around, you remove 30 and then halve it, which means this is about 1 degree Celsius. But I think 32 is actually the freezing degree, because, I mean, it's just an approximation, because it's not actually a 2-to-1 ratio. But yeah, so it's about freezing. But, I mean, we got the pitot heat. That's it. I mean, we don't have any other de-icing. We're going through a cloud, so... you know, danger zone. I didn't turn off the lights above 10,000, the transition altitude, which is sort of the standard in North America, but we're basically just there, so I left them all on, because whatnot. I'll turn off the strobe as we go through the clouds, because otherwise you can get, like, blinky, 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 blinky. We are well off where we're supposed to be going. Now, as we bank over, we will be descending faster, because our wings are crooked, therefore we're not generating as much lift. Let's try to re-intercept this as we continue to descend. Speed is good. I mean, this is like, so out the window is crazy. It's all instrument now. Speed is reasonable, bank is slightly there, descent is fine. As long as we don't start losing a bunch of speed, which could indicate that we accidentally started pitching upwards and we're going to stall. There we go, we're descending through the clouds now. That's actually a lovely little picture. Screenshot. Let's pause the simulator for a second here, but other than that, we're good. So our speed is reasonable. We are descending quite quickly, but I'm fine, actually, with descending quickly through the clouds. We know we've got plenty of distance between us and the ground. We're not going to smack into anything. We are now slightly left of the overall goal, which is good. It should allow us to re-intersect this. I mean, at this point, when you get closer to the beacon, it gets sort of like any little change in your direction will deflect you quite a bit from that, but that's okay. So still descending, we're still traveling at about 110 knots. We're descending about 500 feet per minute. We're just below 6,000 feet above sea level, which means 5,000 feet above the ground. I'm pretty pleased with this. Let's go ahead and enrich our mixture a little bit, just to make sure nothing weird happens. There we go. That should be the last of the clouds. We'll probably descend to something like, I don't know, 4,500 for now. Reevaluate. I like that. So yeah, our descent does fluctuate a little bit, as, you know, our airspeed fluctuates a bit, and presumably there's some slight winds or something like that. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with that. So in theory, somewhere, actually it'll be somewhere over here, is Wawa. We might not be able to see it yet. Is it just behind? Nope, I thought that might have been a town. Wawa's not very big. It is most well known for having a giant metal goose structure. That is its mascot. It is, I've never been. One day. Okay, we are banking again, which I don't want to do. Keep going this way. I mean, again, it actually doesn't matter. Like, as long as, you know, we can be on any radial we want. I just feel like I'm annoyed that we have drifted apparently quite far off from that. So keep going a little leftwards. We're still in a slight bank, but that's okay. Actually, check the wingtips and tell. You see the gap here is a little bit bigger than that gap, although it keeps rolling back to the right. Which is the opposite of what it used to do. Okay, we are still descending. We just passed through 4,500, which is sort of what I was saying we would probably pause to. You know what? I can descend to 2,500. That'll put us 1,500. Just throttle up. I'm going to pull back again. That'll put us 1,500 above the ground. Your standard sort of traffic pattern around an airport is usually about 1,000 foot above ground level. So, you know what? That'll be pretty good. And it'll help us spot things. We're sort of re-entering more of a visual flight mode kind of idea here. So yeah, in front of us somewhere here is the invisible line that we're trying to hit, and we're getting quite close. But the invisible line actually goes slightly to the left, so, or to the right. For our destination, so the tower is probably out here somewhere, where there's a little stain on my monitor, right around there. That's what I'm aiming for, which is going to be a little bit weird when I actually turn. So still descending at 500 feet per minute, which I'm pleased with. And all trees, rocks and trees and lakes and water, and that's it. That is Northern Ontario here in all of its glory. Bumpy. This is the Canadian Shield, one of the oldest rock formations on Earth, actually. Very, very, very old rocks. Not very high in most places. Lumpy everywhere, but not very tall, just because it has been, well, it was under an ocean for tons of time. Not much in the way of fossils around here because of that as well. You're not going to find dinosaur fossils. If you find the right kind of soil, you might find, like, fossils related to like aquatic life, but that's about it. And probably the actual shield itself is really hard. I don't know what kind of rock is the proper thing. It's not sedimentary, so you're unlikely to find anything around there. But back on Manitoulin, that is all like sedimentary, like sandstony kind of thing. It's just like lousy with fossils. Really great stuff. So I'm still just on stick here. I'm basically doing nothing with the stick though, just the occasional nudge to keep us drifting slightly to the left to, you know, of this, whatever, still hoping to intersect us, and making sure that our speed's all good. I mean, our throttle is like, maybe at about 40% or something, I want to say. Not a whole heck of a lot going on there. Engine temperature still high. And I mean, if you look at the GPS, you can see what's going on, right? Clearly. You can see, like, that's this here. Let's go and bring down the range. This here's the beacon we're actually going to. You can see we must be, you know, we're mostly going straight towards it. The actual radial that we're aiming for is something like here. We're trying to drift towards it. We're basically going there. And then you can see the airport just to the right of this beacon. We know the beacon is 8.5 nautical miles roughly ahead of us, and the airport's just going to be just to the right. There's the town of Wawa. So somewhere around here, there's going to be an airport. I've actually never flown into this. I mean, not in real life, certainly, but not even in the simulator. So I actually don't know what to expect. We're closing in on 2,500 feet here, which is where I had wanted to level off. So I'm just going to increase speed and give us some back pressure. and just attempt to level off. Being a little rough with things, but, you know, gotta show the airplane who's boss, apparently. It looks like with the increased speed, I will probably have to increase forward pressure. I don't know, I'm having trouble finding it. Might be going a little too fast as part of the problem. So we know we're 6.9 nautical miles away from the beacon. Again, ignoring the GPS, this is just based on the distance measuring equipment, the DME. We know that's the case. And again, it's probably going to be in front and slightly to the right, perhaps, based on just the radial information that I can spot here. So it would be here, and again, the airport's going to be somewhere over here. I'm really bad at spotting these things. This is probably, I mean, you guys know I never see anything in games. I see some lights over there. That might be what we're looking at. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, what are we doing? First of all, we're looking like we might overspeed. We did drop a little bit. Let's pull there. I'm actually going to drop a little bit of throttle. Just a scooch. So yeah, it would make, you guys know how bad I am at spotting things, so it would make me a terrible pilot like this to do, like, VFR kind of stuff. Like, ILS landings, pfft, sure, I got that shit, no problem. Like, 10 nautical miles away, we pick up the glide scope, and done. Can't even see the airport, and it's okay. So I'm having to apply a lot of forward stick here. So I'm just going to trim a bit. Okay, we're dipping down a little here, but I don't think, yeah. I'm going to say, with the airspeed the way it is, I'm betting it's coming back. Okay, let's pull up just a scooch and try to be stable here. We're still just to the right of the localizer, but that's fine. Super bad at spotting these things, but that's okay. We know if we pass right on top of the localizer, we know that northwest is where the airport's going to be. Now, this might be a good time to say, hey, what are the runways? Because we might want to figure out our landing thing, but we'll just do it visually. That's just a highway, yeah, or a road, another road. We are 2.9 nautical miles away. We are really close to this beacon. So northeast. So we're going northwest. So northeast is going to be over that way from the beacon. Oh, there it is. There's the airport. Oh, I was looking way too far ahead. Awesome. Okay, so let's we can enter the traffic pattern from here. It's not exactly the ideal angle, but it's going to be fine. So we're going to assume it's left-handed traffic. So normally you would want to come in at a 45-degree angle to the downwind leg, but we're going to basically come on sort of direct onto the downwind leg because we completely missed this airport. All right, so, and what's our height? So we'd like to drop to about 2,000 feet on our altimeter, which will be about 1,000 feet above the airport, which is sort of standard traffic patterns. We're bleeding this up. I'm going to go to full rich in case we need to do a go around, although we weren't particularly lean. I think we would have been fine over here. So there's our airport. I think it's, I don't remember, I don't know if it's got a control tower. I think we would just be calling, like going to the right frequency and calling out traffic, you know, call out our number and then say entering traffic pattern. We're too low. Entering traffic, entering downwind leg, yada, yada, yada. So we're just going to pass here. I mean, presumably, you know, downwind. It depends on which runway is active. I guess that's the thing. We would have checked the actual wind, figured out which side of the runway is active, and then enter traffic from that point of view. But we're going to assume it's this runway here, which is presumably going to be runway 22 is the active one. Right now, we are way too low and probably too slow. That's what you get when you're talking. All right. So we don't actually have to go as far since we're so goddamn low. So let's go ahead and make a turn to about 310. Enter the base leg. We can deploy one level of flap. Level out. Take a look out of our left side. Yeah, we're gonna actually, you know what? I think we may have not gone far enough on our downwind leg. No, you know what? That's okay. We're a little high. A little high. Okay, a lot high. Let's go and... Yeah. It's okay. We don't need much runway. We're very, very high. You know what? Screw it. Nope. We're going to go around. Full power. Speed is good. We could probably climb a little faster, but that's okay. We'll just go around. We'll do it again. We're low on fuel, but far from out of fuel. We got tons to do this. I would like to climb... More. I gotta fix my trim here. I have to do a lot of backstick. Oh! There we go. Okay, we're not super high above. We're about, because it's what? It was 800 and change elevation. Assuming your barometer is set correctly. That's gonna be fine. I don't actually have a thing set to look out the back window, but presumably that's okay. So, let's enter our crosswind leg. Climbing, yeah, that's okay. Right, level out. Check there. Okay. And yeah, we'll go, whoops. We'll look forward and actually level off. Then enter the downwind. We're a little further over to the right this time, which A, will make that corner easier. And B, we're going to make sure to crosswind more sufficiently. Alright, there we go. I'm doing these just by remembering that 22 is the runway, so I just put 22 on the bottom of my gyro over here, so that I know that I should be square, assuming I've sort of read this correctly. I'll be square-ish, it's fine. Okay, we're coming up in 2,000 feet now. I mean, we should have climbed out to 2,000 probably before making that left turn, but that's alright. Okay, we'll bring down the speed again. And yeah, we'll make sure to give ourselves a little bit more space here. And as far as I know, everything in the pattern should be level until you turn to final, at which point you'll start descending. So we want to, in theory, be sort of close to the 2,000. Even on our base leg is, I believe, what you want to do. So yeah, we're going to let this go further, probably like all the way in our 3/4 view here. And that's going to be fine. Yeah, that's it. We just didn't give ourselves enough space last time. Flaps are fully retracted, right? Yep, good. Okay, I like that. So, now I'm going to turn onto our base leg. Try to maintain altitude still. Okay, that's the base leg. I'm going to deploy one level of flap. Check the airport. Looks good. And we'll turn to final. It's probably not enough of the base. We probably need it to be a little further off. On our downwind leg. Okay, I should have been a little bit more on the base. Never mind. All about that base. Can't actually see. Alright, let's hope that's good enough. My passengers are probably getting sick back here. But they're not in any... Oh, see, now I've overshot it. Okay. Well, let's just call this the base completely, and that's going to be fine. We're going to... I'm going to deploy full flaps, bring down the speed. Definitely feels a little bit high. Who put these power lines here? That can't possibly be a good idea. What the hell? And those are high voltage, like long distance power lines too. Those are not for local. Those are probably like, was it like 44 kV or something like that? Maybe even more. That's madness. Okay, I like this approach. Speed's pretty good. Yeah. Okay. We don't actually have the distance callouts, but that's fine. That's fine. Pull up a little bit. Oof! Excellent landing, it says. G-forces 1.9. Now, a 1.9 G-force. You know, it's funny because, like, the VY... Oh, we don't actually want to stop here. We want to get off the frickin' runway. I don't know if there's... Do we just pull off on the grass here? It's possible. Yeah, so, like, the G-force is interesting because, like, the vertical speed, 84 feet per minute. That's fairly gentle. But in the big thing, the G would be listed as higher, so I don't know if it's, like, the same based on... I don't know. I don't know, because if you landed with a G of 1.9 in a jetliner, it would not say excellent landing. But maybe I'm misreading what the G is. And I should really be looking at the descent speed. I mean, for those of you, again, who are used to Kerbal, 0.4 meters per second, that is a gentle freaking landing. Anything below 4 meters per second, I consider that gentle. I think, oh, wait, hold on, maybe there's a thing over there. Yeah, this is, well, there's buildings back there. That's what's going on. But you know what, that looks like a well-worn spot where a lot of people pull off. I really should pull off as quickly as possible. But that normally means onto the first taxiway you see. So we'll pull off there, and that'll probably be a ride along the grass, a bumpy ride along the grass over to the those buildings, assuming those are part of the airport. I don't actually know. The one problem with doing these teeny tiny little airports in the middle of nowhere in northern Ontario is they don't tend to be really particularly modeled at all. A little further. You can do it. I know, grass is bad. Plus, what's happening here is my prop is probably picking up a bunch of debris and flinging it backwards at my airplane and just damaging everything, and it's terrible. We're going to engage the parking brake, turn off the engines, and yeah, we can probably, just, you know, oh, that's not how you turn it off. You're supposed to, I think, cut it off that way. That's the static air. That's not the cutoff. I don't know. Whatever. The engine stopped. That's the important part. Let's turn off the avionics. I didn't actually ever do the landing lights, and that's so typical of me. Turn off the battery. Plane is completely done. Let's go ahead and open FSEconomy and say that I would like to finish my flight. Flight is logged. Results can be found. Total flight time, 1 hour, 47 minutes. Still 8 gallons of fuel on board. And if I go and bring up the website and check... I could have checked my flight while it was going on to confirm that it was going. If I go to logs, there we go. This is the flight we just did. And our earnings. So the rental cost, we were nearly 2 hours, so it was $90 per hour. Our fuel cost was $65. Now it was $90 per hour. What was it? Where's the actual? Can I not link to the plane from here? Feels like I should be able to go to the plane. If I just go aircraft, I think I can search. Nope, those are my aircrafts. I see. Okay, well, here's what I can do. I can check. Oh, there's the plane. So the rental fee for wet is not listed. Oh, that's bizarre. Okay, then fine. I will check the airport where I am and confirm that there's a plane here. This is the plane I just... No, it's not. But I've unrented the plane. I don't know, but I feel it was 90 and 130. So it would cost me about another $50, $60 for fuel if I'd done the wet. So I spent a little bit more than that. So I would have been a little bit more efficient to buy the wet, and then I don't have to pay for my own gas. But it meant that I was really focusing on the fuel stuff, although I think I already would have done that anyway as a result of the fact that I was worried about running out because I didn't actually put that much. Ground fees, yada, yada, yada. Distance bonus, we lost 60 cents because we technically moved slightly further away from the home base. But I earned 60 cents going the other way. This flight is parallel to the home base. So effectively the distance not changing. Still, we made $1,400 on this flight. Not bad for a couple hours work. And that brings my total cash balance to this. Now, one of the things, you can like bank it. I don't know, like transfer all in bank to cash. Set cash to 0. Like, I don't know, like, why I need things. I know they pay out interest. I don't know what the deal is. This little helper thing doesn't do anything. I don't know what the bank stuff does on this, but I don't know. I guess I'll bank it and then maybe start earning interest at some point. We'll see. But thank you very much for watching another episode, folks. I hope you enjoyed this. If you do flight simulator stuff, I don't know why the plane is jiggling, probably as a result of being on the grass and being generally unstable. If you do have a flight simulator and like doing that, then do check out the FSEconomy. It's a little bit weird because you've got to like sign up by like posting on the forums, and then they get back to you within a day probably or so to actually create your Game World account. But I'm finding it really satisfying to add the extra context, and I'm going to see if I can. There's a lot of free versions of a lot of planes. I'm going to see if I can find some more to pad out my the stable of planes that I have access to here. That way, it'll open up a few more possibilities for some jobs. It'll give me a little bit more variety in terms of airplanes I can fly, but a lot of airports might not have a Cessna Skyhawk, for example, the 172. If I could get a 182, that would be cool. And that gives me more options. And of course, the bigger planes can fit more passengers. I've flown the Beechcraft Baron before. I know how to fly this thing. Maybe I'll do a couple of practices on my own and then see if I can get flights using that, because it'll have more seats in there and could presumably make more money. I'll almost certainly be spending more money to rent it, but assuming I don't, screw up my routes or anything like that, it should be that much more profitable. Thanks for watching. See you next time.